America is going to want a president who is a decent human being, who doesn't shit on other people, who has some interest in the American people, some interest in something beyond himself. I think at the end of the day, people are going to reject this bigoted, divisive figure.
I'm just giving you the answer to the question you're asking all night long. Why do they vote for Donald Trump? It's not always because they like him. No, it's because stuff like that is kookier to them.
Bill Maher didn't hold back when he went after Senator Adam Schiff. He criticized Schiff for dragging on his battle with Donald Trump, calling the whole thing pointless. Maher's comments were so blunt, it wouldn't be a shock if Schiff never shows up on his show again. If you're into no-nonsense opinions and real talk, hit like and subscribe. There's plenty more coming.
I think it's true justice. The only thing he cares about is himself and money, and going after the money is a way to bring about some real justice.
Adam Schiff started the night the way he usually does, by going after Donald Trump head-on. He called Trump a self-absorbed narcissist who, in his words, doesn't care about anyone but himself. Schiff didn't hold back. He confidently stated that Trump was guilty on all counts, and made it clear he believes Trump should never be president. Again, with his usual dramatic style, Schiff described Trump as a major threat to the country's democracy. He warned that a second Trump term would be a disaster for America. It was classic Schiff strong words, little evidence, and plenty of political theater. But the real surprise came later. He made a statement so outrageous it could easily come back to haunt him.
I don't share your pessimism about this or your pessimism about the general election. The reason why Joe Biden is going to beat Donald Trump is because at the end of the day, America is going to want a president who is a decent human being, who doesn't shit on other people, who has some interest in the American people, some interest in something beyond himself. I think at the end of the day, people are going to reject this bigoted, divisive figure.
Kept going, tossing insult after insult at Donald Trump in what seemed like a last-ditch attempt to tear him down. But the moment that's probably haunting him now, when he boldly declared that Joe Biden would easily win the election. Fast forward to today, Trump is back in the White House. That confident prediction didn't just age badly, it completely backfired. Now Schiff looks out of touch, scrambling to explain himself, and it's hard not to call it political karma. Meanwhile, his rant just kept dragging on. Bill Maher stayed cool, though it was clear he was losing patience. But Stephen A. Smith, he'd had enough and finally let it rip.
I'm just getting tired of seeing so much stuff targeted in his direction, but somehow, some way he still survives. I mean, we're talking about a situation where he's still going to be the GOP nominee. He's still going to be running for president. You're President Biden. That's the individual that you're going to have to beat. 4 indictments, 91 counts. They ain't even bringing up the bankruptcies, ain't even bringing up this particular issue with this civil case, and somehow, some way, he puts cats to shame because he clearly has more than 9 lives. I mean, come on.
Point 3, next voice. Stephen A. Smith didn't wait around. He jumped in and called out Adam Schiff and his crew for spending years trying to bring Trump down. From non-stop media hits to endless investigations and dramatic comparisons to dictators, Smith said it was all designed to destroy Trump's image. But none of it stuck. Trump's still here, and arguably stronger than ever. No matter what gets thrown at him, he keeps coming back. Whether you like him or not, Smith made it clear. Trump is a political powerhouse they just can't take down, and that's eating them up. Even Bill Maher had enough. Tired of hearing the same anti-Trump script, he finally joined the pushback and called it out.
Atlantic put out an article last year, and it was called "Separating Sports by Sex Doesn't Make Sense."
Right.
And talked about how we separate sports like the WNBA and the just because it's just socialization. This is insane.
I agree.
Okay. That's why people vote for Trump. Mm-hmm. Because there's stuff like that on the left that people just go, I know Trump's horrible, but separating by sports by sex makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. And if you think it doesn't, you can't leave the country.
Didn't sugarcoat it. He told Adam Schiff exactly why so many people keep backing trumpets because of the Democrats. According to Maher, their policies feel hollow. Their messaging is out of touch, and they've lost the ability to connect with regular Americans. He pointed to one example, trying to erase biological differences in sports. For most people, it wasn't just confusing, it felt like common sense was being thrown out the window. But instead of taking the criticism seriously, Democrats dismissed it as hate and just doubled down. Maher warned that this kind of thinking drives voters away. Even people who aren't big Trump fans end up picking him, simply because he still seems grounded in reality.
Well, Senator Schiff, given the ongoing political tensions and Trump's actions toward his critics, do you think President Biden's preemptive pardons turned out to be more important than initially expected. Let's first tell people what that means, preemptive pardons. That was pretty unprecedented, right? Before he left office, Joe Biden pardoned you and a number of people who he thought Trump would go after.
No, I take the opposite view. I don't think he should have given the pardons at all.
Really?
No, I don't think he should have, and I was vocal about that at the time.
Can you refuse a pardon?
That's less clear because in the case of the January 6th committee, he pardoned essentially the whole committee.
Did Senator Adam Schiff just throw President Biden under the bus? Because that's exactly how it looked. Schiff, a key player in the January 6th committee, recently received a pardon from Biden along with others involved in the investigation that pointed fingers over the Capitol riot. But here's where things start to unravel. If the committee's work was fair, thorough, and by the book, then why were pardons needed at all? Now Schiff's brushing off the pardon like it didn't matter, quietly suggesting Biden may have acted too soon. He didn't spell it out, but the message was clear. Schiff wants to step back from the political fallout. It's a classic DC move, acts at the favor when it helps. Pretend you didn't need it once things heat up. Schiff may think he's being clever, but the cracks are showing. And odds are, Biden's team isn't thrilled with how this is being spun. Bill Maher didn't hold back either. He called Schiff out directly on, even took aim at the media for their one-sided protective coverage.
Back him and arrested the judge. No, I haven't heard that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I've ever read arrested a judge. So is this significant?
Well, I think
I'm not going to comment on something I don't know more about than what you've just told me.
You read about it too.
Yeah, I mean, I read about it, but I don't know.
So you don't trust anything either, and you work for the New York Times.
Well,
Bret Stephens, the guy who writes for the New York Times, is starting to doubt his own newsroom when a top journalist at one of the country's biggest papers starts questioning what's being printed. That's a big red flag. And it's exactly why so many Americans, including Trump supporters, are turning to independent media. People are fed up with the spin. Once trusted news outlets now come off like political mouthpieces, especially for the left. Instead of sticking to the facts, they're pushing narratives. It's frustrating. Journalism used to be about keeping those in power honest. Now it often feels more like a scripted show, and every time another crack appears in mainstream reporting, it just confirms what many already suspect. If you want the truth, you'll have to go outside the usual channels to find it.
Catholic schools are popular now, even with people who aren't Catholic. It's the last place you can send your kid to get an old school education. And they just tell the kids, forget about the Jesus stuff. Just, to them, that's okay indoctrination, as opposed to some of the other indoctrination that goes on. And also, the Catholics don't put up with bullshit. They take your phone. You have to learn your P's and Q's and your grammar and all this kind of stuff. And that's what I just don't understand, that parents don't have the whip hand anymore. Not that you should actually use a whip. And I don't have kids, so I don't know that firsthand, but every movie and TV show that has a teenager in it cannot be mischaracterizing this. And the kids they don't listen to their parents, they turn their back on them, they walk out of the room, things that would just get me shut down when I was a kid.
Like Bill Maher warned, things started to go downhill when the Democrats fully embraced woke culture and left basic common sense behind. That's when everything began to shift. Kids started being treated like adults, while dads were constantly portrayed as clueless or weak. TV shows kept pushing the same image: the silly dad, the average mom, and the all-knowing kid. At first, it felt like harmless fun, but over time, it changed how people saw the world. Now we're living with the results: a generation that avoids responsibility, challenges every form of authority, and treats discipline like a dirty word. Respect for family, structure, and values has taken a serious hit. What replaced it? Performative politics, loud gestures with no real depth. And it backfired. That cultural shift played a major role in the Democrats losing the 2024 election. Even some within their own ranks saw the
fact that you don't share my pessimism. I truly do. I understand where you're coming from. But I think that's part of the problem. I think the Democratic Party should share my pessimism. I think they should be on high alert. I think they need to treat him with the seriousness that it deserves, because you having a lot of faith in the American people. The man did get over 74 million votes. You've got people that are looking at Joe Biden. I'm not going to call him a cognitive mess or anything like that. That's very disrespectful. I would never speak about our president that way. But when you're 82 years of age, it's not offensive to say you're no longer a spring chicken and you don't see
writing on the wall. 8 Next voice for years. Adam Schiff and his allies insisted Joe Biden was sharp, capable, and fully fit to lead. Even as concerns grew from both Democrats and Republicans, they brushed it all aside, saying there was nothing to worry about. But behind the scenes, things clearly weren't fine. By the time the truth couldn't be hidden anymore, it was too late. And when it became obvious Biden couldn't carry the party forward, the scramble began. Their backup plan, Kamala Harris. But that move fell flat. Her approval ratings plummeted. Her speeches sparked controversy, and her leadership did more harm than good. The party that once bragged about being strategic had run out of options. Between pushing divisive woke policies, standing behind a struggling president, and turning to Harris as a last-minute fix, they lost the trust of the very voters they claimed to represent. Bill Maher and Stephen A. Smith didn't hold back. They're not alone. Millions of Americans feel the same frustration. They're tired of the spin, tired of being misled, and tired of being treated like they can't think for themselves. Trump's return isn't just about Trump. It's about voters rejecting a system that's failed them. The left tried to shape the story, but now even their own are calling it out. That's it for today's video. If you found this breakdown honest and refreshing, hit like and subscribe. More truth, more real talk coming soon. Thanks for watching.